Hello. It's the last day of school. Well, the last day of classes before exams. And so today, while Paul's at work, we're going to make a carrot cake, a carrot graduation cake. This is a little more complex, not really. It just has more ingredients than we usually work with here. But we're gonna make a carrot cake, and this is for all my seniors who will not be walking in a couple of weeks, but hopefully that'll happen in August. But here's a fancy cake you can make, or you can get someone else to make for your graduation. It is a great cake. It's easy to make. I'm going to make a 4-layer carrot cake, which sounds fancy, but it's not. Do you see how I shook the camera? That's because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm better at cake. So let's make a carrot cake, y'all. Okay, look at all these ingredients. I'm gonna measure them out so I can do this one-handed, but I'm gonna give you the recipe so Kate can type it up. It's got ingredients, Kate, so get ready. For this cake, you're gonna need, this is for a 4-layer cake, which makes 2 big layers, and then we're gonna cut those in half and make it look pretty. You're gonna need 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of flour, 2½ teaspoons of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons from the big baking soda box, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, ½ teaspoon of ginger, and ½ teaspoon of ground cloves, a cup of vegetable oil, 4 eggs, ½ cup of sour cream, and 3 cups of grated carrots. So 2 9-inch cake pans, some parchment paper to line your pans, 2 bowls, one for the dry ingredients, one for the wet ingredients, and the old sifter. Some measuring spoons and a big spoon to stir. The great thing about this cake is you don't even have to use the mixer. And if you want to cut this recipe in half, you can make an 8 or 9-inch square carrot cake. So if it's just you or just you and your roommates, you can cut this recipe in half. So the first thing I'm gonna do is line my cake pans with, I'm gonna spray the bottom with Pam and then cut out some parchment paper to line the baking pans. Then I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees. And I'm gonna take my carrots. I need 3 cups. So I usually just get a bag of these little carrots. I'm not sure this is gonna make 3 cups, so I have an extra bag just in case. You know, lockdown. I have 2 of everything. I'm gonna take these to the food processor and put it on chop/puree to crush those carrots up into tiny little pieces. So I'll measure out the ingredients and get this thing going, and then we'll come back and take a look. So here's what I've done. I have 2 9-inch cake pans. They're deeper than a smaller. There's some serious math going on here. They're a little bit bigger and deeper than a traditional cake pan, but they make lovely many-layered cakes. And I lined them with parchment paper. Literally, you just take 2 pieces of parchment paper, put your pan on top, trace a circle with a pencil, cut that out. And I sprayed Pam on the bottom and the top. So I've got both of my cake pans ready. My oven is already preheated to 350. And I've measured out my wet ingredients. The 16-ounce bag of little carrots made exactly 3 cups of carrots, which is what I need. And see how it's not like super fine, but it's chopped into tiny little kinds of pieces. And I've put all my dry ingredients in the sifter. So I'm going to sift those together and then assemble the cake batter in this big bowl. And all you need is a spoon. You don't even need a mixer for this recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and sift these dry ingredients and we'll put this together. I sifted my dry ingredients together and transferred them to this big bowl. And now I'm going to add my wet ingredients, one thing at a time. So I'm going to try to do this one-handed, y'all. First, I'm going to stir in the oil. And that's just plain old canola oil. And I'm going to stir that together. So you don't even need a mixer for this. For your senior graduation cake. Okay, so mix all that. Then we're going to put in our eggs. I'm only going to put in half at a time. So you'll watch your batter get more and more moist. It's a beautiful day here in Nashville today. Wish I could go outside. Why can't I go outside? 1,000 papers to grade. And you all are finishing your projects. My Haunted South class is turning their final projects in today. I cannot wait to see them. And then everybody else is finishing up as well. Most of my seniors this semester are in my Southern Lit class. There are a couple in my other classes. But I know y'all are anxious and excited and stressed, and doing all of this online has been challenging. Okay, so I've added my eggs, and now I am going to put in the sour cream. Let's see if I can get it out with one hand. This is very impressive. I'm going to put in this sour cream. Stir that together. And the more things you stir in, the more moist your batter becomes. That's looking pretty good. Stir it from the bottom to make sure you get it all blended. You know, you can use 2 hands. That's kind of a workout there. And now we're going to pour in our carrots. We're going to blend this together. And that's it. That's your carrot cake batter. And even though these carrots look a little chunky, when they bake into the cake, they sort of dissolve and it's delicious. In other words, you're not, you know, biting carrots. Although, whatever. Okay, so here's your batter. Now I'm going to divide this batter, see what that looks like, evenly between my two pie pans. And I'm going to put those in the oven and bake them for 40 minutes. I'm going to check them at 40 to see where we are. Okay, I'll show you what this looks like in a second. Here, I've evenly divided the batter into my two cake pans. I'm going to take them over and put them in the oven. We'll check them at 40 minutes. I'm also going to make a cream cheese frosting for these cakes. So while your cakes are baking and you're waiting for them to cool, and I'll come back and tell you all the ingredients, but take out an 8-ounce package of cream cheese and a stick of butter. That's a half a cup of butter. And you want those to soften before we put our frosting together. And we will wait for that Paul Trout to come home to put the frosting together and ice this thing up and split it into 4 layers. So it looks like you have a fancy graduation cake. Okay, love. Okay, we're gonna frost our cake. We're gonna make some frosting. Paul's home.
Hello, everyone.
So I baked my carrot cake. I started checking it at 35 minutes and it was pretty done at 35 minutes. Let your cakes cool for about 10 minutes and then flip them out of your cake pans and let them cool all the way. So now we're gonna make our frosting. You're gonna need 8 ounces of cream cheese, about 4 cups of confectioner's or powdered sugar, a couple of teaspoons of vanilla, and a half a cup of butter. So in the old KitchenAid, can we just take a moment to look at this beautiful new marble rolling pin that my child sent me today? Today was a great Sue Trout surprise day. Here are all the good things that happened today. Number 1, Paul's home.
Yay!
And my child sent me a new rolling pin because she saw my janky one on the apple pie video. And my friend David Curtis made a hilarious, sad video with his expired ingredients to make chocolate chip cookies. And my friend and Paul's friend Jason sent us some masks, which was the biggest, solid, and most thoughtful thing ever. Right, Paul?
Yes, it was.
So I am sending love to all of my people tonight. So to make your frosting, you're going to put your cream cheese, half a cup of butter, and a couple of teaspoons of vanilla. I measured that into your mixer, your KitchenAid, and you are going to go ahead and get that mixed up and creamy. Can you see, Paul? Mm-hmm. Let me get up. And that only takes a minute. Make sure I've got this all mixed up. Ooh, I just kind of set some across the kitchen. And then you are going to start adding your powdered sugar. You're going to add about 4 cups. Add a on low speed because you don't want that sugar falling out of your mixer. And you want your frosting to be mixed. If you think it's getting too thick, which is nearly impossible. Sorry, did I hit your video? You can add a couple of drops of milk. And if you think it's too thin, add more sugar. And then scrape those sides. I don't know, I think we need a little bit more sugar. What do you think, Paul? You can't go wrong.
Always loving sugar.
You can't go wrong with the sugar. That is about 4 cups right there. And that is thick, but not too thick. And then, oh, so sorry. Get your spatula and scrape that down. And now we are going to assemble and frost our cakes. So, I don't know. I thought originally I would make 4 layers, 4 thin layers. If you want to do that, of course, first take your parchment paper off. And then you're gonna take a knife that I thought I had and now I can't find.
Got it?
No. Okay. Just hold on a second while I find the knife.
Go.
Okay, I found my knife. Are you with me? So if you want to turn 2 layers into 4, you take a knife. Some people have fancy baking string things. Kate probably has that. I don't. And you're going to try to cut your layers all the way through as evenly as you can. You don't have to be all cuckoo about it. Make sure it's cut all the way through. And then put half back on. Okay, how's that look, Paul?
Looks wonderful.
Looks pretty good.
No way I could have done that.
All right. And then, y'all, you're just going to start frosting. And this is pretty easy. It's not rocket science. And since you're just doing layers, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if you get some cake in there. It just tastes good later on. When you do...
Now, what is that thing that you're turning?
It's just my cake pan, hon. It rotates. I'm fancy. When you begin to take it all the way out to the edges, and when you start assembling your cake, you want to try to frost even sides so your job will get easier. This is only 2 layers. We got 2 more to go.
Woo!
Paul likes a little carrot cake. If this becomes your fancy graduation cake, when you get to the top layer, you can, you know, get all fancy with your top layer if you want. Layer 3 and 4.
Dun, dun, dun.
Same process. This is a really moist cake, so it's hard to mess it up, and it is so good. I have no idea, really, where I got this recipe. I've had it for years. All right, I'm going to use this other cake pan.
This is an old trick.
Layer 3. Look at that beauty.
Scrumptious.
And then when you get to the top layer, you've got to make a decision. Do you want to just frost it flat? Do you want to use a fancy cake decorating tip to make flowers or something? Probably some of you artistic people can do that.
Candy carrots.
You could make some candy carrots. Okay, top layer. Look at that, Paul.
Oh,
Now, right now, it's kind of in fashion to leave the sides either naked. I said naked.
woo!
Or to just barely frost them. And with a 4-layer cake, you've got a lot of frosting work in here. So, again, that is the baker's decision. I'm not going fancy because I have too much work to do. Too many papers to grade. How's that look, Paul?
Looks ready to eat to me.
Almost. Then I might just take what's left and do a little scrape on the side, not too much. And honestly, y'all, it's gonna look cool no matter what. And when you do your sides, you can take a knife or a scraper, and I'll show you because we're going to clean up all this sort of frosting mess we're making.
We would use a putty knife.
No, Paul, we would not use a putty knife. A contractor would use a putty knife. We're going to use a fancy baker thingamajig.
Oh, yeah.
So we are using literally all of this frosting because there's nothing better than a sour cream frosting. Then, hold on, take a cake scraper. Ooh, that sounded like chalkboard. And sort of just scrape your sides to make it look all foofy. If you wet your scraper a little bit and then pull it over the top, it gets super smooth. And then, because it's your fancy graduation cake, take a paper towel and clean up your surfaces. How does that look, Paul?
Looks like a great graduation cake to me.
And that is a beautiful carrot cake. And then I'm going to show you, because Paul is home and ready for some cake,
Yeah.
what this looks like. So you just slice it. And even though you don't have a lot of frosting on the sides, you have so many layers. And see those carrots that are soft or disintegrated? Don't those look beautiful? And that, my darlings, is a graduation fancy cake. And if you wanted to, you could make more frosting and, you know, make designs and stuff like that. But we're pretty simple people, aren't we, Paul?
We're simple.
All right, y'all. Tomorrow is the last day of class. And then it's final exams. And it's been a kooky semester. But we're going to get through this. And you should do a little cake. Paul, you want to take a bite of the cake before we go?
We always can.
Paul is so willing to sacrifice for the team, aren't you, babe?
Oh, I am.
All right. So Paul's going to take a bite of the cake. You won't see this, but let's just see if it's any good.
Oh, my.
That's good cake, right?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Y'all don't make there's something wrong with you.
So make
Oh
a
my
carrot cake, y'all. Kate will give you the directions on the video. And I think later in the week, we're going to have a graduation party and make a bunch of appetizers for your family and friends, even if it's in August. All right, I love y'all. Finish strong. See you later.